The city of New York has always been a stage for the extraordinary, a sprawling metropolis where the convergence of art, culture, and high society creates an electric atmosphere unlike anywhere else in the world. On any given evening, the historic streets of Manhattan are alive with the low hum of traffic, the flashing lights of photographers, and the collective anticipation of a public that is perpetually hungry for a glimpse of greatness. Yet, even in a city so deeply accustomed to the extraordinary, there are moments that stand out, moments when the air itself seems thick with a unique kind of excitement. It is during these rare times that the boundary between the ordinary world and the realm of the spectacular seems to dissolve, drawing the eyes of millions to a single geographic point. On this particular Thursday evening, as a scorching summer heat wave blanketed the eastern seaboard, an unmistakable sense of urgency and mystery began to take hold of the city. The sweltering temperature did little to deter the growing crowds or the ranks of dedicated journalists who had gathered around one of the world's most iconic entertainment landmarks. There was a palpable feeling that history was unfolding behind closed doors, hidden from the casual observer, but clear to those who knew exactly what signs to look for. The grand architecture of the city became the backdrop for an unfolding narrative that promised to capture the imagination of the public far beyond the borders of New York. As twilight began to settle over the towering skyscrapers, casting long shadows across the pavement, the meticulous preparations for an event of unprecedented scale became impossible to ignore. For weeks, rumors had been circulating through the standard channels of high society, whispered in elite circles and debated passionately by fans across the globe. Yet nothing could quite prepare the public for the physical reality of the spectacle that was now beginning to manifest. Every detail, from the heightened presence of private security teams to the strategic placement of barriers, suggested that something monumental was about to transpire. The sheer scale of the anticipation was a testament to the cultural power of the figures involved, individuals whose every movement is analyzed, celebrated, and woven into the fabric of modern pop culture. If you want to stay informed on every major development, witness the exclusive footage as it breaks, and dive deep into the moments that define our cultural landscape. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single update on the stories that the entire world is talking about. The focal point of this growing media storm was none other than Madison Square Garden, an arena globally renowned for hosting legendary concerts, historic sporting events, and massive political gatherings. But on this night, the venue was being transformed for a purpose far more intimate yet equally grand. Passers-by noticed the sudden appearance of massive heavy red curtains being meticulously raised around specific entry points of the famed structure. A deliberate effort to shield the incoming arrivals from the prying eyes of the public and the lenses of long-range cameras. The personnel stationed around the perimeter were observed wearing identical blue wristbands, a highly specific and strict security protocol designed to ensure that only an elite group of pre-approved individuals could gain access to the secure zones. The level of coordination required to secure a venue of this magnitude in the heart of a bustling metropolis during a peak holiday weekend spoke volumes about the significance of the gathering. Vehicles with heavily tinted windows began to glide through the congested city streets, moving with a quiet purpose that only added to the mounting tension. Shortly before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a sleek luxury sports utility vehicle known to belong to a prominent entourage arrived at the venue, navigating the security checkpoints with practiced ease. This early arrival set off a wave of speculation among the onlookers, confirming that the timeline for the evening's secretive festivities was officially underway. The atmosphere was a complex blend of tight-lipped professional discretion and intense public fascination, creating a pressure cooker of excitement that only grew stronger as the hours ticked away. As the sun dipped lower, the arrival of high-profile personalities began to confirm what many had suspected, turning a night of vague rumors into a concrete gathering of the global elite. Among the notable figures captured by the lenses of the press was an Academy Award-nominated actor and filmmaker, recognized globally for his powerful performances and directorial achievements, who arrived looking relaxed yet impeccably dressed for a formal occasion. Wearing a classic tailored suit complete with a traditional vest, he stepped out of a gray luxury transport, a broad and genuine smile crossing his face as he briefly acknowledged the presence of the photographers waiting in the humid evening air. His companion for the evening, a celebrated international supermodel who has graced the covers of the world's most prestigious fashion magazines, remained slightly obscured in the back seat of the vehicle, maintaining a sense of privacy amidst the flashing cameras. The presence of these two cultural icons alone would have been enough to dominate the headlines for days, yet they were merely a fraction of the distinguished guest list that was quietly assembling in Midtown Manhattan. Accompanying them in the front passenger seat was a prominent stylist and close personal confidante to the inner circle, dressed in elegant, dark-colored formal wear that perfectly matched the sophisticated tone of the evening. The arrival of this specific trio sent shockwaves through the gathered media, providing undeniable proof that the event taking place inside the garden was a gathering of the highest order. The guest list, which was rumored to be strictly limited to approximately 100 of the closest family members and prominent figures from various industries, represented a careful curation of loyalty, friendship, and shared history. Every individual entering the venue carried with them a deep connection to the hosts, creating an atmosphere that was simultaneously exclusive and deeply personal. The contrast between the public grandeur of Madison Square Garden and the private intimacy of the gathering created a unique dynamic, one that heightened the intrigue for the millions of people watching from afar. As the doors of the arena closed behind the final arrivals, leaving the outside world to speculate on the events transpiring within, the stage was officially set for a multi-day celebration that many were already calling the event of the century. The meticulous planning, the layers of security, and the presence of some of the most recognizable faces in the world all pointed toward a narrative that was rapidly building toward its ultimate climax, leaving the public eager for the next chapter to unfold. Inside the grand historic walls of Madison Square Garden, far removed from the sweltering heat and the relentless flashing of cameras on the New York City streets, an atmosphere of refined elegance and deep emotional resonance took hold. The transition from the chaotic energy of Midtown Manhattan to the meticulously designed sanctuary within the arena was stark, illustrating the immense effort that had been poured into keeping this momentous occasion as private as possible. The heavy red curtains that had been erected outside served a dual purpose, functioning not only as a physical barrier against the outside world, but also as a psychological boundary, signaling to everyone who crossed the threshold that they were entering a sacred space dedicated entirely to the celebration of love and mutual devotion. As the guest list of roughly 100 individuals began to settle into the beautifully transformed venue, the true scope of the evening began to crystallize for those fortunate enough to be present. This pre-reception soiree was designed to be an intimate precursor to a much larger celebration, yet the sheer concentration of talent, influence, and deep-seated personal history in the room lent the gathering an undeniable gravity. The air was filled with the low hum of warm greetings, the clinking of fine glassware, and the shared excitement of an inner circle that had protected this secret with fierce loyalty for months. Among the esteemed guests moving through the elegant space was a world-renowned music producer and songwriter, a creative force whose collaborative partnership with the bride had shaped the landscape of modern music for over a decade. He was accompanied by his sister, adding a layer of familial warmth to an evening that was already defined by long-standing relationships and deep emotional ties. The presence of these individuals underscored the reality that this gathering was not merely a display of status, but a genuine assembly of the people who had stood by the couple throughout their respective journeys to the absolute pinnacle of their professions. Also present was the bride's most trusted childhood companion, a friend whose bond dated back long before the global fame, the sold-out stadium tours, and the relentless media scrutiny had become daily realities. Seeing these figures from different eras of the couple's lives interacting seamlessly within the grand venue added a profound depth to the evening, illustrating just how deeply rooted this love story was in the foundational relationships of their pasts. The sports world was equally well represented, reflecting the groom's legendary stats on the football field and his deep ties to the athletic community. A prominent sports reporter and television personality was seen arriving alongside her husband, a former professional hockey player who had hoisted the Stanley Cup during his own illustrious career in the National Hockey League. Their presence highlighted the unique intersection of worlds that this relationship represented, a blending of the entertainment industry and elite professional sports that had captured the collective imagination of the public like no other romance in recent memory. The excitement within the venue reached a new peak with the arrival of the groom's mother, a beloved figure in her own right who had become a familiar and comforting presence to sports fans across the nation. Looking absolutely thrilled to be joining the festivities, her radiant smile and warm demeanor immediately set a tone of joy and celebration, reinforcing the deeply personal nature of the gathering. Every detail of the evening, from the carefully selected lighting that cast a soft glow over the guests to the curated menu designed to reflect the couple's favorite culinary experiences, spoke to a level of thoughtfulness that went far beyond typical high society events. Yet, beneath the surface of this joyful celebration, a profound revelation was beginning to ripple through the room and into the wider world, shifting the entire narrative of the weekend. While the public had spent weeks anticipating a massive traditional wedding ceremony scheduled for the following day, whispered confirmations from multiple highly placed sources began to reveal a much more intimate truth. According to these insiders, including a well-connected source from a major music capital, the powerful couple had already taken the ultimate step in absolute privacy, having legally bound their lives together in a quiet, secret ceremony long before the grand decorations were hung at Madison Square Garden. This revelation added a layer of profound intensity and romantic defiance to the entire weekend, suggesting that the couple had prioritized the sanctity of their legal union above the inevitable spectacle that accompanies their public lives. The knowledge that they were already husband and wife transformed the rehearsal dinner from a traditional pre-wedding event into a triumphant celebration of a bond that had already been forged in steel, away from the eyes of the world. For the fans and journalists waiting outside, the realization that the core event had already occurred in secret only served to heighten the intrigue, turning every subsequent detail into a piece of a fascinating puzzle. The strategic brilliance of this move allowed the couple to experience the true emotional weight of their marriage in peace, while still honoring their vast network of friends, family, and colleagues with a multi-day celebration of epic proportions. As the evening progressed inside the arena, the tension between the private joy within and the mounting public frenzy outside grew more pronounced, setting the stage for an unprecedented Friday gathering that would see the guest list expand dramatically. The intimate circle of 100 would soon give way to a massive assembly of around 1,000 guests, creating a logistical marvel that would test the limits of even New York City's elite event planners. The anticipation for what was to come seemed to hang in the air, a living force that promised to elevate the following day's events into something truly historic, ensuring that this love story would be remembered for generations to come. The culmination of this extraordinary multi-day celebration marked a defining moment in the landscape of contemporary popular culture. A grand finale that beautifully synthesized the private devotion of two global icons with the spectacular scale of their public lives. As Friday arrived, bringing a fresh wave of energy to the sweltering streets of Manhattan, the transition from the intimate rehearsal dinner of 100 guests to a massive, sprawling reception of approximately 1,000 people began to unfold with flawless precision. The historic scale of Madison Square Garden was fully utilized to accommodate this vast assembly, which included a breathtaking gathering of international stars, industry leaders, elite athletes, and extended family members who had traveled from every corner of the country to witness history. The sheer magnitude of the guest list reflected the immense impact the couple has had on their respective fields, bringing together two distinct worlds that had previously operated in entirely separate spheres of American culture. The journey that brought these two individuals to this grand stage is a testament to resilience, unmatched professional drive, and a rare ability to maintain personal authenticity under the most intense media spotlight on the planet. For the bride, this moment represented a beautiful new chapter in a life that has been defined by poetic storytelling, artistic reinvention, and an unparalleled connection with millions of people across the globe who have found solace and joy in her music. From her early days as an aspiring songwriter to her current status as a cultural phenomenon capable of moving economies with her stadium tours, she has navigated the complexities of global fame with grace and an unwavering commitment to her craft. Her partner, a legendary figure on the professional football field whose competitive spirit, athletic brilliance, and charismatic personality have earned him multiple championship rings and a permanent place in sports history, has demonstrated an equally profound capacity for growth, stepping into the global entertainment spotlight with effortless charm. Together, they have redefined the concept of a modern power couple, demonstrating that it is possible to achieve the absolute pinnacle of career success while building a supportive, deeply grounded partnership based on mutual respect and shared values. The significance of their union extends far beyond the boundaries of a traditional celebrity romance, capturing the collective imagination of a public hungry for a genuine, uplifting love story in an era often defined by cynicism and rapid change. As the massive Friday reception reached its peak inside the beautifully adorned arena, the atmosphere was one of pure celebration, characterized by heartfelt speeches, spontaneous musical tributes, and a palpable sense of joy that resonated through the grand halls of the venue. The careful planning that went into every aspect of the multi-day event ensured that, despite the enormous number of attendees, the evening maintained a sense of warmth and personal connection that reflected the true spirits of the hosts. Longtime friends who had witnessed the couple's initial introduction and the subsequent rapid evolution of their relationship shared stories of the quiet moments that defined their bond, away from the stadium lights and the stadium stages. These narratives painted a picture of two people who, despite their extraordinary circumstances, found in each other a profound sense of home, stability, and understanding that allowed them to weather the relentless storms of public scrutiny together. The legacy of this weekend will undoubtedly be felt for a long time to come, serving as a landmark event that set a new standard for how high-profile figures celebrate their life milestones while fiercely protecting the core sanctity of their commitment. As the final echoes of music faded and the grand red curtains were eventually lowered, the guests departed into the warm New York night, carrying with them the memory